So last week we stopped here, right? We came up to collateral, then non-financial tools we didn't do. I told I will start today, right? So under non-financial tools, we have three. Most of you know what is a sort analysis, sort, then Pesley and Porter's 5-force model. Some of you may know all things, but I need to cover this, right? Sort, strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats, right? So under sort analysis, it is a micro analysis of your business, right? It is a combination of micro and macro, but mainly a micro analysis, right? It is structural analysis, and SWOT, normally we do it with conjunction with other analyses like Pesley or Porter's 5-force model, right? Then we are doing SWOT analysis to identify our strengths, recognize our weaknesses, identify the opportunities, and avoid the threats, and get ready to face the threats. That's why we do a SWOT analysis. This is a micro picture. And it is very easy, not like other things. This is a very easy tool to use. Right? Right? So here, under threat, what we do, strengths, we recognize the resources and capabilities we have. Right? I can say, okay, we have a very good financial strength. I have very good trained staff. I have a brand loyalty. Like that, what are the strengths of my businesses? Or the characteristics of the business which control? That is the strength. Then weaknesses can be the other side of a strength. The example given here, I'll put it on another way. You have a very good printing business. You have a very good customer care. You have technical knowledge. You have trained people, everything. So you invest heavily on the technology and the machinery, right? Then you run out of cash for the working capital. Then it is a weakness. We have limited working capital. Therefore, we will have issues. Hope you can remember, once I told you about an actual printer who had invested on a 4-color printer 2 years ago. Right now, 4-color is nothing. Right? 4-color printer. This is a live case with what happened to me. Right? This printer invested heavily on this. Then he misjudged the total cost involved. So what happened? He used his working capital. Then he was facing working capital issues. Therefore, he couldn't run the business smoothly and service the loans. Always he was in arrears. Right? He had a very good team, knowledge, all equipment, which were his strengths. And he had a brand loyalty. He was named as best printer a few times. Right? Like that. But his weakness was his financial management was weak. Therefore, cash flow is his weakness. Right? That is the weakness side of it. Then opportunities. Opportunities come from the external environment. Right? It can be on technology. It can be any trends coming up. Right? So, whenever we are looking at a business, we need to see those things. Like development in the science and technology. Right? So those things gives us an opportunity to do a new thing. Change in markets. It can be locally, it can be internationally. Changing government policies. Right now, we are restricting imports. So it is an opportunity for us to manufacture or grow something within the country, right? Earlier, we used to get everything from outside and we waited. Now, all of us are thinking what to do, what can we grow, what can we manufacture within the country, right? That kind of policy. Change in the social pattern, population, lifestyle changes. Earlier, our income was something. Gradually, it is increasing. When you are increasing, you think about yourself. Like whoever is working, right, and independent. I'll take my example. When I just started my job, I was wearing any brand, anything, whatever things is good, I used to wear. Then gradually, when my income levels changes, I try to stick to one brand or one color or like that. It changes, right? So when we go on our life journey, our preferences and requirements changes. Then that is an opportunity for a business, right? It is an opportunity for business. Look at this, organic food, right? There is now we are talking about organic food here, right? Maybe 10 years or 8 years we were talking about organic food, right? But other countries, even 20 years ago, that was 2000, it was 2000 or 2001, I lived in Canada, right? Then in supermarkets, they had separate corners for organic food, which was much high priced, right? Whoever affordable, they used to get organic food. Now only we are seeing these things in our supermarket. So it is a trend. With our income sources, it changes, right? So change in social patterns, mergers and acquisitions. It can be two big players coming in together. Therefore, we will have opportunity. Unfulfilled customer needs. Like think about Sri Lanka perfume market, right? Every one of us love to have a perfume, right? But how many of us can actually afford a branded perfume, good perfume? If we can bring an affordable branded perfume to the country or manufacture within the country, we will have a huge market, right? This is a small example. Opportunities to value add. We just don't exploit. Okay, as example, we have one of the best graphite mineral in the world. But what are we doing? We're just exporting the raw mineral. Like then we have one of the best silica sand in the country. What are we doing? We're just exporting the raw silica sand to Japan and China. Then they will make the computer chip and sell it to us. If I can remember correctly, we export 1 ton of silica sand for $2,500, and a single chip costs something like that, right? So we export 1,000 tons, 1 ton, and they get the same price from us with a one chip, right? Think about our cinnamon. We are the only cinnamon manufacturer in the world. 99.9 cinnamon is from Sri Lanka. But our great grandfathers also exported only the raw cinnamon, right? But bulk pack cinnamon. Still we are doing the same. Very limited value addition we are doing. right? So these things are opportunities, but we have to identify those things. Then the threats, change in demand. Think about the milk powder itself. The demand for milk powder has come down. So if we are going to have a liquid milk affordable price, we have a market. Threat is if I am into the milk powder, we have to be careful now. New technology and innovative products. Right? Where is Nokia today? Forget about that. Where is Kodak? Kodak was the number one in film industry. Film reels and cameras and everything. I don't think any of you has used a film reel. Right? When I was young, when I was in university, everything was on a film reel. Okay? Kodak was the best. It is expensive. Right? Then gradually someone introduced the digital camera. It was actually first person who designed a digital camera was the chief engineer of Kodak. But they didn't buy in that technology. They told no, we are the best. Right? We are the best, no one can touch us. So that chief engineer had to leave the company as well. So after some 20 years later, today, not 20, 30 years later, today Kodak is no more, almost no more. Kodak is there in different fields. So we have to go with the innovation and technology changes. So it is a threat for us. New regulations coming in. Land law is the example. Like just now we saw a regulation came in for imports margin requirement. So all the cloth importers will have an issue because they have to have cash to import. This is not the first time in this country this happened. Last regime also, they imposed the same regulation for some few goods, not to all goods, few goods. Right? So like that, time to time regulation change. So if your business is in that industry, we have a problem. So that is a threat. Then government subsidies and disadvantaged taxes. Last week we saw 40 rupees tax increase for big onion. Right? So if an importer price at one price and suddenly a tax comes in, they will have issues. Right? Why can't we fight with Indian exports? Because Indian government subsidize. Our government does not do that. Right? So their products are cheaper. So we have to always fight with the quality. Sri Lanka is good at quality but not good at pricing. Changes, specification of a product, economic sustainability. These things are the threats when we are looking at a business. Then we spoke about opportunities, we spoke about weaknesses, we spoke about strengths and weaknesses, which is internal. Opportunities and threats are external factors, which we can capitalize to run the business. Then we come to PESLI analysis. PESLI is the macroeconomy, macro environment, macro picture, bigger picture. Right? It is the big picture. So, can you remember under 6 C's of credit, fourth C was condition. It is this, Pesley, right? So we look at the bigger picture where this business is in. So it can be political, P4 stands for political, economic, S for social, technological, legal, and environment. Right? So political factors like, will my business get affected by any political change, any political decisions, politics related, right? These are this is nothing politics, right? See, now we talk about zero level chemical fertilizer. What happened? The opposition, now all the fertilizer people got affected. Right? Opposition came and said, as soon as we come into power, we will allow everyone to bring back chemical fertilizer. Right? So it is a political game. If I am in that industry, I will have issues coming in and going out due to political ideologies. Right? Then economical. It can be local economy, it can be national, local is local area, national is the country economy, or it can be the international economy or world economy. Right? Take a small batik shop in Sigiri. It is affected by everyone, from the world economy to country economy to local economy. Right? Tourism is not moving, people are not enough money or travel restrictions. That is the international level. Because of that, we don't get tourists, so that batik shop got affected. Right? So like that, we have this area, lockdown area. Think about a local lockdown area. All businesses affected just because of lockdown. It is nothing to do with other parts. Right? Think about car sales. It is because if you are an import of vehicles, because the country does not have dollars, we have restricted vehicle imports. So this business got affected. Right? Like that, these things changes. Sociological changes in the society, like the population, gender, it can be lifespan, it can be society. Like, okay, think about when I was small, like beef eating beef is a very common thing. Then gradually it changed. Now very few people eat beef. It's a sociological change happened in the country. Okay, so changes in the society. Then technology. So that's, as I told, the technology. Kodak is a good example. Samsung was never in the phone, not the phone, camera market, but they were the first to introduce selfie. Right? So there is a technological change. Then the legal environment, legal grounds, like we take Parate, we have different legal cases going on. Legal barriers comes in and goes out. Land law is legal. When we want to ship to a different country, there is legal barriers like from if I am sending something from Australia to China, these days we can't do it because of the trade restrictions. India to, if I am supplying something, raw material, final products go to China from India, then India, China, there is a rift now. Therefore, we can't get down bitumen, right? From which is coming from, bitumen is the term, which is coming from Iran, because it is a restricted or red flag country, right? So we have different legal barriers. Then environmental, that is our environment. We have local environment and international level also. You can't emit carbon, CO2 gas, right? So we have restrictions. We have to look at the waste disposal as we discussed earlier. So this especially is the larger picture or big picture. So this is the condition where we are, where my business is in. So we have to look that. So if the questions are what is specially, you have to explain everything with a small example. Then we come to Porter's 5 force analysis, which is a tool to understand the industrial dynamics, industry, market. Market is the most important aspect to look at before anything, right? Without a market, there is no business exists. Everything depends on the market. How many staff, how many workers, how many machinery, what is the machinery, what is the investment you need, what is the working capital you need, what kind of borrowings you can do. All those things depends on the market. So identification of the market of a business is the key, right? So this is Porter's 5 force model. This is Porter's 5 force model. We'll start with the center, industry competition or rivalry among competing firms. What is the competition we have? What is the competition my business has? Right? Who are the competitors? What is the competition? Do I have a competition? Or who are the competitors? Am I running a monopolistic market? One person? No, few large players. Think about shoes, school shoes, my famous example, school shoes. This school shoe market is controlled by two main players, Bata and DSI. Right? If you want to enter to that market, you have to play with them. If they want, they can kill us, kill a new entrant, because they are strong. Whenever you have few big players in a market, it is very dangerous. Why? They can go under the cost and wipe out a small player. But if you have several small, same level players, it is not that risky. It is only a competition. No one will undercut you to finish you out. So you need to look at who is the competitor and what is the level of competition we have. Then customers, bargaining power of buyers. Customer is the buyer, right? Does this buyer, I'm supplying to only one person. My business is supplying something to one entity, one person. It is again the two sides of a coin. If I'm evaluating a business, Now he is supplying to a corporate. Like I'm a shoe manufacturer supplying to DS. Right? Then one way it is good, market is guaranteed, payment is guaranteed. Right? One way, corporate risk and SME risk, that is good. But what will happen, instead of buying from me, DSI start their own production. Then I don't have anything. I can't sell it to anyone because I have not dealt with anyone. I had a customer who was manufacturing murukku for a person in PETA. Right? We went into this business. Like that lady was manufacturing murukku per day around 5 sacks of flour. It is huge production. Right? 50 kilos, 5 to 150 kilos of flour for murukku. It is huge production. It was very well done. Right? Then we asked her, to whom are you selling? Which market? She was telling, I'm supplying to one person in PETA. He is like a brother to me. He helped me to develop the product. He is buying everything from me. Our next question went, what will happen if the customer stops buying from you? He shifts to someone else. Or he will start his own production. But no, nothing will happen. He will not do something like that to me. After few, so we were afraid of the market, so we didn't finance that person. After a year or so, we met that lady, 0 level operation. Why? That person who was buying developed the market. After that, he started his own manufacturing plant, own manufacturing move. Right? So this lady does not have a market because she was supplying only to one. And that is one example. Then there was another case. They were supplying just to one person. It is one of the largest mat manufacturers in the country, supplying to UK, one buyer. Same story is like brother to me. Right? We told you are nuts. This is very dangerous. We saw this person, this company's margins are coming down, turnover is increasing, production and number of pieces selling was increasing, but margins were coming down at the gross profit level and net profit level both. Right? Then we showed him. No, that's the way. International market is very tough. So my buyer is reducing my margins, but he's selling more and more. So I'm investing heavily on the business. After 5 years or 4 years, this person had to sell the manufacturing plant. Who was the buyer? His own buyer purchased the manufacturing plant. If the industry is making losses, why did the buyer came and brought over the manufacturing plant? So this buyer, what he did, he took everything from this person, right? He got the person to invest heavily on the business, get the business into a state-of-the-art production line. So he tightened the pricing, profits. Right? He dictated, the buyer himself dictated the pricing. So it came to a point, no longer the Sri Lankan manufacturer could manufacture to that market. So the buyer offered, this person sold the entire product. That day he told me, you are the one who told me that this is happening. We didn't believe it. So today I am declaring bankruptcy. Right? He declared sold the thing and left the country as well. So it is very important to know the buyers. How many people you are selling? Can you freely sell? Or can the buyers shift from your product to someone else easily? Is there any cost attached to if you are providing something more important to the buyer? It will be difficult for the buyer to shift to someone else. If you are providing something rare to the buyer, it will be difficult for the buyer to shift from you. So it is a locking. Then suppliers. My business depends on the supplier. This is the other side of the coin for customer, right? Can I buy my raw material from many people, or do I have to depend to someone else? What is the percentage of supplies I am taking from this one person? Why? Suddenly, if the supplier decides, no, I'm not giving you at 200 rupees per kilo, I'm increasing it into 300, I don't have option. If I'm buying only from him or her, then my production cost will go up. But the normal market production price will not go up. Then we can't increase the pricing. So my margins will come down and I will make losses. So dependency on the supplier is a key issue. So you should not depend. Can you buy from several people? Are there lot of suppliers? That we have to check under this. Then new entrants. My business is in what? Kottukade. My business is a Kottukade. How easy for someone else to enter? If you have two good hands and deaf ears, you can start a Kottukade. You don't need anything else. Right? So look at this. You see a small food outlet in one place. One small good Kottukade, few vehicles stops every day. Within 3 months, guaranteed another one or two Kottukade will come near that. Right? How easy to enter into my business by someone else? Is there any restrictions from the government, or is there any restriction? It can be capital, technology, or government, anything. Right? How easy to get competition, new entrants. Then the fifth one is substitute products. Right? Can we have substitute products? The easiest is the butter and the margarine. The quality of the substitute, pricing of the substitute, purpose of the substitute. Right? That thing. So are there any substitute products for what I am selling? Can my buyers easily shift to the substitute products? The quality, supplies, and pricing. Is it the same? Is it better or bad? So this is 5 O's. We look at the market in 5 different angles. Competition, dependency on buyer, dependency on suppliers, new entrants, and substitute products. Right? That is 5 O's model. This can be applied from a smaller boutique shop, right? Smaller grocery shop to a larger industry. Look at a small shop, right? Who are my customers? Who are my suppliers? Can someone else come and start a new shop? can they buy the same thing, good quality, from someone nearby? Right? So we can apply, this is a very versatile tool. You can apply this tool to anyone, any business, right? So this is the 5 Fours and details are here. You can go through it. This is what I was talking to you all about. Right? So with that, I come to the end of lecture 10. Do you have any questions? If you have any questions, I am happy to answer from lecture 10 before going to the other lecture. So can I proceed? Yes, no, good, bad, ugly? Oh, all of you are sleeping over. Someone text me whether it's okay. Can I proceed? Right, thank you. Then we'll go to lecture 11. Recovery. Now, up to now, what we did, we evaluated the business for credit. Right? So that is the evaluation part. We have come up to the point of, remember the graph I drew on the very first day or the second day? Umbrella, credit policy, process, and up to approval. So we have come to the approval now. I leave the disbursement and right now it is away from over the line now. We have credit monitoring, processing, right? Credit administration fund and the recovery part. So I'll do the recovery. You have to be a very good recovery person if you want to become a good credit person, right? So we will try to understand the reasons for loan going into non-performing, requirement for monitoring, EWS, and several methods of recovery. Right? What is a bad loan? Loan where repayments are not being made as originally agreed and may never be replied. There are two things. Right? There are two things. We have people who pays on time. Then we have people who are paying but with a delay. That is not a bad loan. It is, right? Then there are people who does not pay, like over 90 days arrears, NPL. Okay. Over 90 days arrears or NPL. That is a bad loan. That is called credit risk. After this, we will have that discussion, credit risk discussion. Credit risk. Anything we never, I will not get my money back is the point where credit risk arises. Right? Prior to that, years, 1 day arrears, 2 days arrears, 1 month arrears, 2 months arrears, it is liquidity risk. I am not getting the money due for me. It is getting delayed. So bad loan is a loan where the repayments are not being made as originally agreed and will never be repaid. Why do we need recovery, proper recovery? Because what are we lending? Is it our money? No, it is not our money. It is these poor people's money and the rich people's money, right? We are lending others money. So we have a responsibility, social responsibility of returning that money. When recovery is not there, we will have to provide provisioning. Then we will lose our profitability, our cash flows. Right? That's why we need proper recovery. Social responsibility, impact on profitability, and provisioning. So this is a study done. On this we have found, the researcher has found 10% recovery without reminders. Out of our portfolios, only 10% will be paying even without a single reminder, bill, text message, call, anything. Another 20% will recover, just a text message, they will pay. Another 50%, you need to make a call, you need to send a text message, remind a text message, then they will pay. Right? Visit, all those things. 15%, we send a letter of demand, we'll threat them saying that we are going for legal action, all those things they will pay. Another 5%, only after legal action, through courts, they will pay. Right? This is a pattern identified by a researcher. Then we come to credit supervision and monitoring. Right? What is credit supervision, monitoring, and follow-up? It is the process of continuously monitoring, focusing on behavior of the credit facilities since the inception till the facilities are settled in full. That is, from the day customer walks in to the day he pays us the final rupee. The entire spectrum, if you can again remember the graph I drew, from the loan origination to the exit. So the behavior, it can be character, repayment, all those things. Covenant monitoring, insurance, stock statements providing, financial statement providing, go and borrowing from other people. So all these things needs to be monitored. Focus on behavior of the credit facilities since the inception till the facilities are being settled in full. Right? So that is the credit supervision. It is not after lending, it is pre and post. Monitoring follow-up can be categorized as pre-approval, that is prior to approval. We look at all 5 C's and everything before approval. Right? After approval, it is the disciplining. Right? You have covenants. Why do we have covenants? We need to maintain the same risk levels. That's why we have covenants. We have 2 types of covenants, which are positive covenants or affirmative covenants or negative or restrictive covenants. Restrictive covenants, no, you can't do this. Affirmative, please submit financial statements quarterly. Right? That is to maintain the risk. So monitoring is to check whether they are submitting, whether stock statements are there, whether the stocks are in line with what we have projected, have they gone and borrowed from someone else? Like all those things are post-approval covenant. Then we come to early warning signals. What is early warning signal? EW is normally says early warning signals, or common term is EWS. It is a traffic light. Before any customer goes bad, he shows you that I am going bad. But bankers are very busy doing other things. So we conveniently ignore those indications, right? It is traffic light. Why? When we give a loan, it's green, they pay. Gradually, it gets delays. Customer won't come, right? Yes, sir, I'm coming, but still, it takes few days to come. The turnovers are dropping. Oh, their management is changing very frequently. Auditors are being changed. When you go to visit, no stocks. And all those things leads to conclusion of he may be facing a crisis. But we go, how are you? Good, bad? Come back. But we don't go into that minor detail. Right? So early warning signal is indicators that can be used to identify possible loan facilities which might fall into bad. If checks are getting returned frequently, his own checks or his supplier's check, his buyer's check. See, returning his own checks, stop payments, refer to drawer, even technical, continuous technical is some indication of way of returning a check. Right? I had a case, there was a check and we called the customer and said, there's a check for 3 million, if I can remember correct, 3 million check today on your account. That guy said, it can't be. It can't be. I signed that check with my left hand. I'm a righty. I sign on from my left hand. So you have to return that on signature differ. Somehow our system passed through. In order to avoid the refer to drawer, he did that because it is not a bad remark for the customer. Okay. So they try all different things. So if you see continuous check returns, you have to be alert. If they come and postpone, you have to be alert. Why? Postponing or stop payments will create a bad impact on the suppliers. They will stop supplying. Then this business will all intertwine things. Right? Then you go to other side. His buyer's checks are getting returned. That means his cash flows are getting affected. Or his products are not good. Therefore, buyers are rejecting to pay. Like that, you have to check. So you visit, your owner and the manager has two different ideas. They are not in good terms. Then we have an issue. It's a management issue. Continuous excesses, continuous ODs. It is an indication that there is a cash flow difficulty. Like we go for check purchases. Right? That is a very good income for the bank. But it is a very bad indication. It is an early warning signal. Continuous check purchases. Once we had a case, right? This customer, we had something like altogether we had around 150 million facilities or something like that. Yeah. Right? So this customer was continuously purchasing the checks he is getting. Right? We had an assistant manager. She was very friendly and she was very happy to purchase all this. Right? Even we had a nickname for her, check purchasing girl. Right? Because branch was earning so much income through just the check purchasing from this customer. You know, bankers are very greedy. Bankers are very greedy people. When they see profits, they do lot of things without thinking twice. Right? So we were not worried that much. They were getting good checks, and whatever we pay, we purchased, it was getting paid. Right? So what happened? We were greedy, we forgot about this EWS. Then on a May 30th, I can remember this date very well. Why? It is my daughter's birthday. One check got returned. One check got returned. It was a shock. Right? No, it was 29th May. It was a shock because we never saw a check return on this account. Account turnover was something like 500 million a month. Single zero check returns for 1.5 years. Suddenly one check got returned. We called the customer, he said, sorry sir, we will put that money. By 1 o'clock he came and deposited the money. Right? Then on the 30th of May, the entire lot of checks returned. Within 2 days, we got a hit of 150 million rupees. Right? We got a hit of 150 million rupees. We were in a racket. Other side, there was a bank manager who had been helping this person. What has happened? These checks, he used to bring it to us, purchase it, take it back to that bank and deposit the money. Right? So when my check goes and hits there, money was there always. This was identified by the head office of that bank, and he was immediately removed. So no one to pay the checks. Right? No one to pay the check. So we got a hit. So check purchasing was a indication which we ignored because of our greediness. So it took us another very good 1 year or 1.5 years to recover the entire amount. We couldn't recover the entire amount. We brought down the 150 million hit to around 25 million hit. Right? So we have to be very careful about all the transactions. Right? Running up and down and paying checks is not our job. Continuous excess request is a indication. Sorry. Different types of EWS operations, management behavior, reporting, like they have to provide us stock statements. They don't give us. Investing, they're investing heavily on fixed assets or directors' assets. Financing, debt equity ratios increasing like that. Then you go to the PDF, name recovery, cash, trade management recovery, this one. Go down to the bottom, last view, Annex 2, this gives you some early warning, operations, steady decline in rapid increase in sales. Declining sales and increasing sales both are a early warning signal. Why? Continuous increase can go into a over trading position, trading without proper arrangements. right? Frequent cash shortages, excesses, those things. So you just go through this. It will show you different ways how we can see the early warning signal. Insufficient cash to take trade discount, inventory built up with no slowing, management behavior, poor deteriorating sponsors reputation, lack of management, sponsors vision, right? Okay, if you hear someone, one of your customer is like doing something wrong in normal life, he may be very good paymaster, right? But you suddenly hear that now he is spending lavishly like that, then you have to be very careful. I have another customer from Malawi or Kadwe, I can't remember properly. He had two wine shops. He had two wine shops. He had a hotel. He had a pastry shop. He had a restaurant. Like that, he had businesses which were cash cow businesses. Right? He was paying well. He was a good paymaster and he was doing everything fine. Then we got to know he spent something like 500,000 a week. Right? He had two houses and now he is building another house. So every other month he goes to Bangkok, spend lavishly, come back. When he drinks only those days, not these. Gold label. So we were a little worried about his spending patterns. We wanted to come out of this customer. We gradually came out, but we were slower than his fall. Like when we started, we had something like 30 million exposure to this person. But when we have reduced it to around 2-3 million, we got the hit. Right? His business has collapsed. Like he was so lavishly spending, his cash flow was not sufficient to pay his expenditure. Right? So we had got a hit of around 2-3 million, but we subsequently recovered that one as well, but we got a hit. So he showed that behavior. Reporting, worsening delays in financial reports, poor quality, inconsistent in reporting. Every time you all wrong reports or auditors change or something like that. Look at it. Investing, non-current assets increases faster than the revenue. Major procurement without proper rationale of financing. Financing, high or increased level of financial leverages, like that. We have different So these you can go through and you can apply it to a day-to-day work, right? Right. It is there. Okay. Yeah. Then we will go to type of defaulters, right? We have two types. These are the two types. Firstly, this part, due to conditions, genuine reasons, these guys are defaulting due to genuine reasons, natural disasters, right? Management issues, uncontrollable and controllable things, but they are genuine people. But due to unreasonable situations, they default the bank. Then we have another set who are basically willful defaulters or thieves, right? So these are the two types of defaulters. Default due to genuine reasons, of course, and willful defaulters. Genuine reasons, there can be two types. What are two types? Reasons which can be controlled by the borrower, and the reasons which can't be controlled by the borrower. Firstly, let us see what are the reasons which can be controlled by the borrower. Management problems, right? We depend on the manager. You think about a tea factory. If, like, tea factory is operating very well, who runs the business? It is the tea maker, factory manager, or the tea maker. Right? What happens when he is doing it well? Other people come and pick him and go. Then this business will collapse. So you need to have proper management team. You don't have proper educated and experienced people, then you have management problem. Then technical problem. We have a gas manufacturing plant in the country. It is oxygen and acetylene gas manufacturing. So this plant was cheaper than another plant, Indian plant. So this person brought this plant. But whenever there is an issue, initial investment was low, but running cost was high. Always technical issues. Because of that, he could not service the bank. So any technical issues related, where we can add another machine to avoid these technical issues. Capacity loading issues, those things. We have to look at why this person has, okay, you have a management issue. The people who are here does not know the business. Earlier we had a good manager, now he was running the business. Now we don't have. That's why his market was down. His best marketing people has gone out. So if my customer has some good marketing people, they can solve that issue. Like that. Technical. Yes, these machines are old. You need to replace these machines. Otherwise, you can't run the business. You can't get the quality of the business. Right? So technical problem. Then the financial. Can you remember the example I gave you? Good printer, good machinery, no working capital. Right? So financial issues. They should have asked the bank for working capital and the bank should have given working capital to this. Right? Financial. Then other thing can be equity has been taken out, no equity. So all bank funding. So the turnover levels are not enough to service the bank. Like that, we can have reasons which can be controlled by the customer. Then we can have conditions which are not at the control of the sponsor or the owner of the business. It is beyond his control. Like market crashes, slow down. Tourism market has slowed down. So what can the hoteliers do? What can that poor Batik shop owner, they can't do anything. Right? Tourism market has crashed. When we sent few years ago, what happened? Few years ago, it is not to the market slow down the political reasons. Right? Market slowdown you can understand. Right? Like I'm an importer and seller of clothes, I will have an issue because the market has stopped. Right? Can you remember once we announced during previous regime, we are going to ban asbestos in 2020 or 2025. Right? What happened? After a few months, suddenly all our tea orders from Russia stopped. They were telling there was some bugs in that tea. All orders cancelled. Then we import asbestos from Russia. Because we announced that, they played political game with us. Right? So, this is political. We are in a soup now. Why? It is because of geopolitics. Right? Our location is the advantage for us and again a disadvantage for us. We are in between a war of US China and India China. We are not doing anything in this country. Thus, those geopolitics is taking us for a ride. Right? All international level restrictions and all harassment we face is because our shifting towards China. But other hand, China is the only one who is lending to us as well. So because of this geopolitics, we are facing issues as a country. Right? Then the environmental reasons and natural disasters. Flood. Right? Last month or prior month, we had a heavy climate alert from north and east. So all the businesses was affected. 1 week heavy rain, we get floods, mudslides. So if something goes wrong, what will happen? My business person can't do anything. It is beyond his control. Right? Fourth one is the inaccurate, that is fourth one is us, bankers. Right? We take wrong decisions. We take lot of time to give a facility. See what happens? We delay and grant the facility. By that time, US dollar from 203 jump to 230. Who's going to bear the cost? Customer has to bear, not you and me. We get our payback at the end of the month, but it is not for a business person. But who cares? We take our own time to approve a facility. Right? Then he wants the POD, we give a term loan. Mismatch. He wants 10 billion, we give 5 billion. Mismatch between the amount. So he has to find the balance amount to do the project. These are beyond their control. Because of that, these people go bad. Market crashes, slowdown, political reasons, environmental reasons, or natural disasters, or inaccurate judgment by the banker. Behind any success business, there is a banker. Similarly, behind all the failed businesses, there is a banker. Right? So you are doing a great job. Do it properly. Do it properly. Action to be taken by bankers to avoid default and non-payment of loans. We have to appraise properly, right? We need to, whatever we learn, it is to appraise. Do it properly. Then, active monitoring and observation. You give the loan, don't look at it. When he goes to arrears, go and shout. No. Active monitoring is you need to have regular inspections. You need to have very good conversation with the customer. As a credit person, you are the first to know a customer's position. You are the best person to have an idea about the business. In order to do that, you have to visit them, you have to speak to them, you have to be a partner to them. Right? But I'm coming, inform him and go, you will not know anything. You need to have regular visits and you need to have ad hoc visits as well. Otherwise, they will make everything rosy, everything good. You go, all right, everything is good, come back. I'll give you an example. We had a pledge facility, vehicle pledge once, right? So this manager and the credit officer used to inform the customer, go, visit and come back. Right? One Friday, they went for the stock inspection. They have shown the vehicles. So 10 Premios, 10 Land Cruisers, like that they have shown, and our guys also just counted and came back. On Monday, when our people came to work, there were no vehicles, zero, absolute zero vehicles in that yard. What they have done is when our people have said we are coming, they brought vehicles, showed them the vehicles. Our people has not checked the chassis numbers or engine numbers. We have just checked the vehicles, number of vehicles. And they remove the vehicle from the yard. Not to find those vehicles again. Right? So, we need to have ad hoc visits. Then only we will know the exact position. Then we need to know the monthly reports, quarterly reports, all those things you need to get. You give the loan, don't look at the business for a year, no. Quarterly, monthly, or biannually or annually, you need to get the reports and you need to go and verify those reports. Stock statements, merely getting a statement is not worth. You have to go there, check and come back. Then the verbal information, third part. So always speak to the market. Listen to the ground. You need to keep your ear to the ground. Gossip is very important. Whenever you come, you meet a spare parts customer. You speak about spare parts, speak about the customer. I know this guy, he's also into spare parts. Do you know him? Like that, you have a chat. Then if there's bad reputation, those things will come out. Then you know that we have to be careful. Just go through the media reports. We learn a lot from media because media is gossip in this country. Right? Media, internet. So whenever a customer comes, Similar to your crib report calling, do a Google check as well. Actually, I learned this Google searching from one of my junior staff members. Once there was a customer came to meet me when I was a regional manager, came to meet me and we discussed the project. I was happy about the project. Then I assigned to a junior person to look at. Then suddenly this girl came and told, boss, don't do this. There is a bad news on this guy on the web. Then to find out, he had been charged for a robbery long time ago. So that indicates the character. Right? So do a Google check whenever you can. Right? Similar to looking at the script, do a Google check as well. If your name is there on the papers or print media or electronic media, it will pick that. Then action again, we go on. Like we do on visits, write reminders. Always you have to build a story before going for legal action. Write a reminder, give advice, do written communications. Right? Again, try to advise the customers because you got to see lot of businesses. So you can get ideas from one business and give it to other business. Right? You don't go to give the secrets of a competitor to another person. No. Good practices you can share always without a name. Right? Then if a customer is facing difficulties, you can go for reschedulement or restructuring. Restructuring is changing the repayments before going to NPL. Right? Allowing customers to change the repayment before going bad, mainly within the approved tenor. Rescheduling is after going bad, extending tenor, we are changing the repayment. There is a difference between restructuring and rescheduling. Then we should allow the customer to prepay. If the customer is in bad wicket, we should encourage the customer to pay us. Or you can encourage the customers to pay the highest cost bearing. If you want to keep the customer, you can ask the customer to pay the high cost bearing borrowing. So his monthly commitment comes down. You think this is a genuine customer, because of some reason he is not paying, check the borrowings, get him to settle the high cost borrowings, then his cash flows will be adequate to service you. Right? That kind of thing. Then we have the impairment process. I will take it later, most probably next week. We will discuss recovery methodologies. Look at these two. Will the first picture work or the second picture works? Whenever you want to get something done, will the fighting work or the good corporate relationship will work? Negotiated settlement is the best way, not the foreseeable. Right? Then you have to have legal action when you fail on all things. Firstly, you start with a gradual cordial relationship. Then you try to negotiate the settlement. If you can't, go for the foreseeable. Still you fail, go for the litigation. Right? Negotiate settlement, compromise and corporate action. settlement through mutual agreement between the bank and the borrower. Then we go for the forcible ceasing and those things and the litigation. Matters to be noted by the banker when settlement is through mutual agreement. Right? We are going on a very friendly basis. In that scenario, you need to maintain very close relationship with the customer. That's why I told you, you need to call, you need to visit. Whenever you are knocking at his door continuously, you will be the last to get not paid. Whoever hardly calls them, they are first to get the hit. So keep a continuous relationship with your customers. But it has to be very, very professional always. Bankers' relationship with customers has to be professional. For my 24 years, yes, I think it is 24 years, 23 or 24 years career, banking career, I have never said machan to a customer. Maybe for my schoolmates and university college mates who had studied with me and taken loans from me, I have said machan. Without that, any professional relationship, though some customers call me machan, I don't call them machan. My relationship is only very professional. I should be able to say no to a customer at any given time. Think about this. You become very friendly. You go out and booze every other day. Next day he sends you a check. Can you return? No, you can't. I'll give you an example. When I was a branch manager, that time I started my house construction. I had a customer who was a cement distributor. So I wanted some cement. I called this guy and I told him, can you give me some cement? I want one load of cement. I'll pay you within 2 or 3 days. Right? No issues, sir. Don't worry about paying. I'll send you cement tomorrow. That was around 2-3 o'clock in the evening. Right? Around 8 o'clock in the night, he called me back. So I have to send a check tomorrow for 4 million. I will send the check. Please pay. His account was not good to pay a 4 million check. That was 10 years ago. Right? His account was not good to pay a 4 million check. So I didn't pay the check and I didn't purchase cement from that person as well. Right? So the saying is, if a customer gives you a glass of water, they will take out a bowl of water from you. Right? So be careful. Always maintain only a professional relationship. If you are doing credit, right? Think about all the bankers who have gone into trouble. Some way or the other, they have been blackmailed or they have been made to use money. Right? This money is a very bad thing. Be careful when you are doing credit. Right? Maintain a close but professional relationship. Constantly remind the borrower of his objective. Whenever you speak to a customer when he is in trouble or is not paying, you have to tell him, keep the book clean. You are here to do business. When you have a good history, good record, you always be able to get funding from a bank. Your job is to run the business. My job is to fund. Right? You can't survive without a bank. So do the business professionally. Always respect the dignity of the borrower. Don't shout. Once, see, in Sri Lanka, this part of the world, we have a very face culture. Can you shout at one person and look at his eyes and tell something again next moment? No, it is very difficult. You can shout at anyone through the phone because we don't see the other side. Right? Best lies are happening on emails. Then best lies happens on over the phone. It is very difficult if you are not a rogue. It is very difficult to tell a lie by looking at a customer's face. That is because we have very face culture. You go to Australia, you go to US, you go to UK, any this so-called developed countries, they'll start with the F word, letter, word and finish with that. Who cares? Next moment they are friendly and that's fine. If we shout like that, we can't. We have guilt inside us. That's face culture we have. Right? So be careful. Respect the dignity. And again, if there is anything, don't go and tell others about bad things about the customer. If we get to know, it will be a super game. So be careful. You have to be very, very tactful in this point of time. Educate through the relationship network. You never say to his friends that he's not paying. What you say, I have not seen this guy for long. Friend will tell definitely, right? That gives an indication. Right? So user, why don't you help your friend like that? Be careful on how you are communicating. Make use of the relationship network and the industry connection of the borrower. So if you are friendly with the industry, right, we say he is into garments. So you also know many of the garment manufacturers and sellers. Then borrower will think twice before defaulting you because he knows that his competitors and the colleagues, you know, if he does bad thing, information will go to everyone. He will destroy his image. Right? So be careful on dealing, but you have to maintain these functions. Always you have to evaluate the actual position. See, what happens is even the smallest hit, they will show like a big hit. But you have to be very careful. I had a baker, right? Even he get a cyclone in Trincomalee, Anadura is telling, "Ayo sir, no business cyclone." One day he was coming and telling me, no business leases. I bluntly asked why there is a cyclone in Trincomalee or what. I asked him, this is a true story. He got annoyed and he never came back and said me that he does not have businesses. He had always the smallest thing, he used to get the advantage. Estimate the damage and loss. Right? Then don't wait. If you want to restructure, reschedule, do it faster. Don't wait till the last moment. Give concessions. Our aim is to take our money back. By giving a small concession, if we can get the customer to pay us continuously, we are up on the deal. Allow prepayment. Yes, we know we have prepayment damages clauses. Even bad customers, get rid of the prepayment damage clause and get it settled. Right? So these things we can do. Then we go to legal action. Firstly, it is parate action. Right? What is parate? what is the right given for the commercial banks without going to legal courts? We can pass a board resolution at the director board of the bank and take over properties mortgaged to the bank. It can be movable or immovable, mainly machinery only, not the stocks. Parate action we can go. Right? That is a right given by Act number 4 of 1990. Parate action. Right? So what happened? Customer does not pay. We send first letter of demand. We requesting the entire capital outstanding and the interest outstanding. After 14 days, we say the second letter of demand. We do 2 letter of demands. After that, we take the board approval to take over the property. Right? That is parate process. Once we get the board approval, we send a copy of the board minutes of the board approval to the customer and we publish that. Then what happens? We go to an auctioneer. Right? All these things has to be published in 3 languages. Then we go to auctioneer and say, we need to take over this land. You need to do a public auction. Right? Auctioneer fix a auction date. Then he will publish the auction date and the auction notice will be sent to the customer as well. Then on the fixed auction date, we go to the property. On the property, we auction, publicly auction. So, if the customer wants, he can buy it by paying our price, or anyone else can buy paying out. The price, starting price is called upset price. Upset price. It includes the entire capital, interest plus auction fees and all the fees included. That is the price we are going to buy. If no one is coming to buy, we take over the property. Now, the ownership convert to, after the auction, sale of property, certificate of sale of property, land belongs to the bank now. Right? Then, if some people are there on the land, we can't do anything. We have to go to courts and prove this land is our own land now. There are some people, we request the courts to take them out and give us the land on freehold basis or no incumbent basis. Right? Then we have to prove that is owned to us because of it's not paying. We want them to take them out. So that is called ejectment case. Right? When we win the ejectment case, court secretary will come to the land, read out the court order. Court will get the people who are in the land ejected, taken out from the land, and give us the clear land. So we have parate action. That's how we do. Then we need to go for ejectment case to take out any people if they are. Right? If no people, we can enter the land. But up to last month, like the borrower and the landowner has to be the same. If I am the borrower and my wife is the landowner, land becomes third party. Then we can't go for parate action. Even if a borrower is a company and property is owned by a director, it was third party due to Mudit Perera and DFCC case, right? But very recently, there was a case judged against this. Again, in that case, they have said director and company is not two different things, right? But we are yet to make a case law on this. So still we go on the basis direct and the company are two different, and the ownership of a land will become third party. In order to avoid third party, we always get them joint borrower, right? Third party mortgages, we can't go for parate action. Then again, in 2011, there was another guideline. Any facility which is lower than 5 million rupees, you can't go for parate. Right? Still it is valid. So land has to be owned by the borrower and the facility has to be more than 5 million. Then only we can go for parate. Then comes the debt recovery. Here we go on a case basis. We go and put a case against the borrower. We give an affidavit and we give a plaint. Yeah. It is faster, not faster like parate, but it is faster than other actions. But only problem here is you can't amend. You can't change the plaint once submitted. So documents need to be perfect and you have to have proper set of documents to be submitted, right? If rejected by the debt recovery, you can't have another action filed on the same grounds, right? Once rejected, rejected. So banks are very reluctant to go on debt recovery, but there are banks who are going on debt recovery and winning that, right? So parate is the fastest, then debt recovery action, which comes from Act number 2 of 1990, parate is Act number 4. That is also fast, but it is very stringent. Right? Then we have the normal mortgage bond action. Third party mortgages, so my own mortgage, we go on mortgage bond action. What happens? We go to courts, we file a case saying he has mortgaged this property, he has taken a loan, but he is not paying. So allow us to take over the property and say, this is what we had prior to 1990. So you know our judicial system, it takes long time, 5-6 years for a case, right? So we rarely go for mortgage bond action. We always try to go for parate with avoiding third party. If it is third party, we are left with debt recovery or mortgage bond, right? So we go for smaller than 5 million also, we have to go for mortgage bond action or debt recovery. Then the other one is money recovery. Whenever you have personal guarantees or promissory notes, we go on money recovery action, again a court proven case. You have to file a case, you have to prove, argue and win the courts, right? That is a money recovery. Then we have winding up action. Winding up action is only for companies, right? It is section 272 of Act number 7 of 2007, right? We can go to courts and get an order to wind up a business, company. Whenever I told you that mortgage bonds need to be, when we were talking about security, I told you mortgage bonds need to be registered any deal with a bank, a company needs to be registered with the Company of Registrar, right? So Act number 7, New Companies Act provides under the section 272 for winding up. So we go to courts and we want the courts to liquidate the company. But banks are reluctant to do this because of few reasons. It is a bad image for a bank, wind up. So all jobs will be lost. Bad image. When we go for winding up action, all other creditors can come and say, this company owns us, this company owns us this much amount. So it is a liquidation process and everyone will have a share. So bank doesn't want that as well. So winding up action is that. Arbitration, we have arbitration board. All commercial contracts, we can go to arbitration first. Then if we can't come into a mutual agreement through the arbitration board, we have to go to courts, but first we have to go to arbitration board. It is available international level as well. The nearest arbitration board to Sri Lanka is Singapore. Singapore, we have an international arbitration board. Can you remember the hedging deal we had, CPC and Standard Chartered Bank? That was taken to arbitration board in Singapore. Right? Then we have mediation board, Samata Mandale. Right? Any facility which is up to 500,000 need to go to our mediation board first. Based on the agreement signed in place, we decide where the mediation board decided by the chief monk of the area or the principal, Grama Sevaka, like that, we have a board. So they dictate and they will say, okay, they will hear the both sides of the case and they will try to regularize the payment. If even after agreeing on a mediation board, if the customer is not paying, we have to get a certificate called non-settlement certificate and then only we can go to courts. Up to 500,000, anything has to go to mediation board first. Then only we can go to other actions. Then we will come to leases, forcible action. Right? Earlier it was litigation, everything. Now it is the forcible action. That is lease action. We go and seize. We have a lease agreement. What is a lease agreement? Allowing a customer to use our asset, which was selected for, which has been selected by him and purchased on behalf of him by the bank. So we have the absolute ownership. So what happens when the customer does not pay? We send the letter of not the letter of termination. First we send a notice of termination. Then you give 7 days and you send the termination letter, and you get someone to seize. Right? That is the tricky point. There are seizers in the market, right, who go and bring vehicles to us. We give him authorization to bring our vehicle. We never tell him to use force to bring. So what happens if the customer, like this person, take out the vehicle? Like if a driver is there, you have to take out the driver and sit on the vehicle to take the vehicle, control of the vehicle. That split second, it's a criminal offense. It is a robbery. Right? If a seizer is caught at the time of changing the driver position, he is a criminal offense. It is a vehicle robbery. Right? Once he sits on the vehicle, It is the bank's vehicle. This is the authorization. Once I gave a seizing order, this seizure tried to take over the vehicle on Maradana traffic. Right? Unlucky for him, there was a cop, and when he tried to pull the driver out, this seizure was taken to custody. Then the police came to me. How can you do this? I tell no, I never told him to use force. I told him to bring my vehicle only. Right? It is our vehicle, so I wanted him to bring my vehicle. I never asked him to use any force and bring. I can't help it. So that guy went into custody for around 5-6 months and came out. He also knows the game. He never came and played. So that is the game. That is lease agreement. So we have few things. We have civil procedure code, that's the normal codes you see, and you have fraud and corruption, which is a criminal procedure code. Two codes, civil code and the criminal code. So lease agreements, you can seize the vehicle or you can file a case in criminal action. Breach of trust in this country is a criminal action. Straight away you can put the customer to the custody, right? So you can use any of the ways available, right? So details from here, all the details are available. I was telling you what is available here, right? But I missed this part. Steps involved in legal action before commencing the legal action. Right? Before commencing any action, you have to get all the documents completed. Still, up to this time, you have a relationship with the customer. If there are signatures missing, initials missing, anything, you just speak to the customer and get these things corrected. When you decide you are going for legal action, first of all, check the file, whether everything is in order. Correct and accurate documentation is key for the legal action. You need to have written reports, you have to have discussion minutes, you have to build a story, right? Always give him a chance. Always give him a chance. Please come, please pay this amount. Right? We are ready to reschedule. Please come and sign the reschedulement. We have rescheduled your things. Like that, you build a story to prove that this is a willful default. We have given you concessions. Please come. You have not come. You are avoiding us. Like that, you build a story. Then only you go to courts. Report of discussions and communication held with the borrower. Integrity and the ethical conduct of the bankers are very important, right? If the borrower go to courts and say, this manager asked me this much, that's all, right? This manager wanted discounts, I didn't give, therefore he is angry with me. That's all for you, right? So be careful. Documents need to be perfect. And all communication need to be written down. Whenever a customer promise something, send him a mail saying, okay, you promised me this, please honor that. Then you can send a reminder saying that date you promised, but you never materialize. Like that, you can build a story, right? Before going to courts, you need to have all those things. So we finish these things. Other information, quality of the security. When before going to legal action, you have to see whether it is worth going for legal action or whether it is better to go for negotiated settlement and come into a amicable, like value of the property may have come down, landslides, deterioration of quality. So if we take over, we can't sell that kind of thing. Better to take a small amount and dispose it to himself as well. Then you need to maintain that insurance covers and all those things. Cost of litigation, it is very costly affair. Going to litigation, it is easier said than done, right? So you have to be thorough with that. Then when you are going for litigation, your provisioning will increase, right? Okay, that's all about recoveries. We are left with provisioning and NPL. I will do that next week. Any questions on today's lecture? I'm done with the lecture today. If you have any questions, I'm happy to answer it.